All right, grasshoppers. It is the most watched hour on national television, probably worldwide, not just national television. The great Rich Gabberty. How are you doing there, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, Tom. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. So just in case anybody does not know who Rich is, I'll say this every show. Fantastic gentleman. I hate to say nice things about him. It goes right to his head. But we met coaching kids hockey in the Westchester Mariners. He did a ton of great stuff for me. And I say this all the time. Every time I see some young boy that you coached, he's always saying to me, "How is Coach Gabberty? He helped me so much," and all this kind of stuff. So all the good stuff.
Well, I'm honored. And you know what? This could all be in the show notes, but I want to let people know that maybe don't know who you are. Believe it or not, I have some friends that might be tuning in from the wellness industry, that you are an 11-year NHL veteran playing for the Rangers, and then traded so far away from them that they sent him to the Los Angeles Kings. Thank you, Phil Esposito.
I got to tell you the story. We did a show with Phil. It was Ron Greshner, myself, Dave Maloney, James Patrick, I think. And we called him Trader Phil because he was trading everybody, including me. And he got in. We said, "Well, why did you?" And he was dropping the F-bombs all the time. And we said, "Well, why did you trade certain guys away at certain places and everything like that?" He says, "Well, the guys I really didn't like too much, I traded them far away as possible." I'm going, "Phil, you traded me to LA. You couldn't get any farther away. Was that bad?"
Wow. Nice. and
that's
Canada.
He's that older guy with no filter now. There's just absolutely no filter with him.
Yeah. What is he like? He does the does he still announce the Lightning?
Yeah, he does the radio color commentary. Yeah,
he does. He's an unbiased announcer.
Oh, he's funny. Boomer Esiason up here, he's got his radio show in the morning.
Yep.
And they make fun of Phil all the time when they play Tampa highlights. If Tampa scores a goal during the season, they'll replay the radio version of it because Phil, the play-by-play guy, will be speaking, and Phil's like, "Woo!" and then making all these noises and everything. He's a cheerleader.
He's a cheerleader. That's spectacular. Now, listen. How did you get so motivated on Sunday? Good things happening in Greenwich, Connecticut on Sunday. Who let the dogs out? Wow. Music and everything. I know. Go. Let me hear this.
Honestly, God, so that's a great question. But honestly, God, my life has gotten so much better, and it keeps getting better and better all the time. It's just I learn more stuff. My training's better. My diet's better. You coming back in my life. And honestly, seriously, I have so many good people in my life now that are positive. Fitness and health, mental health, and everything. I've just fired up all the time. Like I said, my workout, I had a workout this morning. It was just spectacular. I haven't felt so good in a long time. But it was, this whole dog thing. It's been funny. I've told you about the dogs here in our complex, right? Have I told you this?
Oh, of course. How could I forget? Yeah. Sure. I'm
so,
was it a Ginger? What's the name of the dog? Pepper. Like Angie Dickinson, right? Angie Dickinson in the 60s or 70s was on some TV show. She was Pepper.
Was she Pepper? Oh,
yeah. Remember her, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But how about Barbara Eden from
I Dream of Jeannie? I Dream of Jeannie, yeah.
How about Gilligan's Island, the two there? Was it Ginger and Marianne?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Were you a Ginger guy or a Marianne?
That's a good question. Why not both?
Wasn't Marianne more the like down at home girl? Ginger was all dressed up and everything, wasn't that?
Yeah, but you know what? I'm able to find the good in everything. I have that knack. But anyway, let's get back. What were you talking about now? Let's the dogs. You want to talk about the dogs for a couple of minutes?
No, it was just funny.
Can they come on the show? Can they come on the show? Maybe
that would be fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Stuffed on the wall. No.
So
it was a joke. Everybody, please, Mary from like Sheboygan or wherever you're from. We love animals. Okay, please don't.
That's the thing. I actually do love her. So one of the girls, women, I should say, that is the hypnotist, Kathleen. That's awful.
Kathleen, the hypnotist. Yes.
Yeah. Sure. So she had a woman come to her that her husband snored all the time, so she couldn't sleep. So she convinced her through hypnotism and everything that the snoring was a soothing sound and would help her sleep.
Love it.
So I'm thinking to myself, so instead of not liking the dogs barking, I'm going to embrace the dogs barking, enjoy it. So the dogs were barking and I was in a happy mood. That's where we've changed ourselves.
That's awesome. Now I asked some people, did that work yet? No, it didn't. No, you got to do that. So far, have you been hypnotized by any of those women yet?
I have not. I want to try it though. I think
let's talk. Let's discuss. Let me interrupt you real quick. Yeah. Let me just. I want to try to get some insight into what the hell's going on with you. Okay. So you have hypnotist on. You've never been hypnotized, right? Now we have Dory. We've put you in touch with Dory, our Brett coach facilitator.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I wrote that down actually too.
Yeah. Have you done that yet?
I have not. I actually responded to your email when you put this together, and she has not got back to me. So I'll follow up again.
Oh no, she thinks about you all the time. I mean, seriously, and I think she's getting a little tense about stuff lately because she had me on edge yesterday. She had me so on edge on this phone call that we had with this marketing company that we have that I actually and I did it. You looking? Is somebody typing in there? No.
But Brendan, our boy, our sleep expert. So
the sleep guy. Yeah.
We have everything. We have a hypnotist, sleep expert, breathing expert.
And have you worked with Brendan?
I have not. Brendan,
you're Brendan 0 for 3. Let's keep going. Go ahead.
Brendan chastised me one time.
And he's doing it again. Let's see what he says. He moved to Tampa.
For 10 years, they told me the only ice this season drinks. I was watching Phil Spielberg. Oh, so Phil got the team. So Brendan was funny. Brendan's a great guy, very knowledgeable about all this too. And I was talking about sleep, and I downplayed the importance of sleep. And he was very professional and polite. He wrote a nice note and everything.
He's not going to send you a mean note because then you're not going to deal with it.
Guys keep snoring, and he might be permanently hypnotized. Don't ignore the snore. So a good note by Brendan too. He said that snoring was a sign that you're trying to get air into your body. Is that what it was? I think it was. So
yeah, I think so. But he might have sleep apnea.
Yeah, something going on.
Right, and then they put that CPAP. They put that mask on you.
That's right. So what were we doing? Were we going to analyze me as we were about to do?
I was trying to. You're 0 for 3 so far. Thanks for reminding me. I know it's all about you, and this is your weekly therapy session with Coach Rich G. Thank you for coming aboard here. So let's get back to it. So we're 0 for 3 now. We got Duffy with the sleep. No problem. By the way, you have nobody near your apartment because they're all afraid of you. So they don't even know if you snore. So we can't, maybe you could turn on like a recorder at night and we'll analyze it. That's Duffy, 0 for 1.
Yeah.
Now we have the hypnotist. Okay. Nothing. Look at the little chain, right? Look at the chain and you feel.
See, that's what I thought. That's what I thought it was at first, but that's not what it is. So
no, I know. And now the other woman, your regular, right?
She's back.
She a psychiatrist too? A psychologist?
No.
What? No,
she's not. No,
just hypnotherapy.
But they study the brain, like the subconscious mind. That's where they get you to in hypnosis, right to your subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
So with the power of positive thinking, we talked about this the other day. The power of positive thinking works, but you got to do it over and over and over again because there's kind of like a barrier between what you're saying and the subconscious mind.
It's the repetition.
So if you do it under hypnosis, then you're going right to the subconscious. So
she's cutting she's cutting out the middleman.
Exactly.
You're buying direct. You're buying direct from your brain.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, when did you do that one?
We did that show on Tuesday. We discussed that.
No. When did you do it? When did she hypnotize you and all of that?
She has not hypnotized me.
Okay. 0 for 2. All right. Now we have Dory, the breath
work facilitator.
You said you had it written down. I'm just checking. Yes. So I'm trying to, you know what I'm doing? I'm trying to give little victories.
Okay.
And there's a victory. Congratulations. You had it in front of you. You read it brilliantly.
I feel good about myself. Too.
Yep. When are you doing the 45-minute? And this, by the way, no charge. 45-minute, because she's got a special in September. Okay. And she's got like 22 more spots to fill. So if I was you, I would try it.
Dory?
Yeah.
Well, she got to respond to my email, though, in all fairness.
All right. I guarantee you she's going to come on the show today or respond to your email today.
She's going to be on the show today? That'd be cool. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she'll stop by and say hello, leave a little thing. If we knew how to use this any better, we could have people pop in and out.
Yeah, we can do that.
we can do all of that stuff.
We should.
Yeah, little stuff. The one who we have to bring on though, and maybe she's going to drop a comment, is April Natali. April Natali has written a book. It's called Inside Your Heaven, and she talks to people in heaven. She's a good friend of mine from Chicago, and she wrote this book. And the last time I was on a live with her, we did, because I helped her and I was kind of the person interviewing her to get some content. I asked her, I said, who's here from the other side that wants to talk to me? So she said, a famous celebrity, right? And I said, really? I guessed, and I was right. I said, is it Farrah? And she goes, it is. I said, well, what does she want to say? And so April goes to me, she just wants to listen to you, but she says, do you like the way I'm dressed? And so April goes, what do you think she's wearing? Right. And I wouldn't say anything. I said, no, you tell me. I mean, you're cheating. I'm not going to tell you. You tell me. Right. And so she said, well, okay. So she goes, she's wearing, do you like her scarf? And I said, holy shit. I swear to God, Tom, that's what I was thinking of, that she was wearing a scarf. Really? Yeah. Cause at the end there, unfortunately, she had to wear a scarf you know, because of the cancer treatments that she was undergoing. But anyway, yeah. So she's really that's somebody you got to. Well, that could be your 0 for 4. But I'm optimistic that I think you're going to be 1 for 4 because you're going to pick one of these people and do something.
I think I'm going to try the hypnotism. You do that right on. You do it on online. You don't have to go anywhere.
Well, the same thing with all. Wait, and I'm not discounting this, but it's the same thing with the other two. It's all online.
Okay, I know. I'm just saying the easy. Hold on here. We got Michael Casella.
Mike Casella. That's Mr. Selling Southwest Florida, our real estate. Oh yeah, this guy actually knows who you were. He's from the Bronx, New York.
Now, why would you say it like that? He actually knows who I am.
Because I'm breaking your chops. I know you're. Come on, because I listen. The same way you knocked me down about taking my shirt off all the time on the bench when my team losing 9-1 scores. God. So that's my beat up. Right. Mike Casella. He grew up in the Bronx. He's down here in Florida. And look, April. Oh, here, there's the medium. April, can you say good morning? Tell my mother good morning, okay? My mom, good morning. My grandparents, hello. I love them. I talk about them all the time. And my father, I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing with him because now I'm his age, and everything I thought of him when I was like 30 years old is completely wrong. He was a freaking genius.
Yeah. It's the same thing by my father. My father was a mountain of a man, like 6'4", big farm boy and everything. And he never, he was just calm and steady all the time. And I was growing up fighting, playing hockey in the cross. And I thought to my dad's weak, why he's supposed to be out there fighting and stuff like that. I look back at him and my grandfather now, and they're gods to me. They're fantastic. Yeah.
But you must have fought a couple of farm boys in the old days. Yeah. I mean, on the ice, right? I mean, those Western Canadian guys. I mean, and even you, did you do any work on the farm growing up?
Oh yeah. Okay. So that's really, I tell you, a big reason why I made it was every summer I'd be baling hay all the time. I'd come back and I was just jacked.
Oh, I bet.
All the rest of the kids are sitting around doing nothing all summer long. And so I'd come in and pound them all and make the team. And then I got on the teams. I get better and better all the time. But yeah, I bet you if I hadn't lived on the farm, I wouldn't have played because I wasn't strong enough. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I mean, think about that. Yeah. That natural workout. There's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah. My father, so he never was like Mr. Speech guy or whatever, but he's, very nice person, all that kind of stuff. But the only thing that he really pumped into me over and over was he would say about himself, he says, nobody can outwork me. He said, no matter what else happens, I will not be outworked. And he did things. I look back. So he would load the wagon full of hay, and I'd be driving the tractor, picking up the hay, and it goes through the machine, and then spits out the bales. And he would load that wagon the same way every time. And so once in a while we switch. I go back and I get the bales falling all over the place and everything like that. I'm just throwing around. And I remember thinking to myself, come on, let's just get out of here. Let's get this done. But he would do it exactly the same way. He'd put the most amount of bales on that wagon as possible. I bet you if you took a picture every time of that hay wagon, it's the same thing. And that's really how he led his life. It was just, you're going to do it, you do it the right way. And he would load, outside, he'd use the wood stove. So he'd pile up the wood outside. And I swear to God, he'd come out with a measuring stick to measure each log being exactly the same. Like if you look down his stack, it was just immaculate. When he cut the grass, same thing. The lines in the grass were just perfect. If he was going to, and I didn't really pay attention to that until after, now, where I really look back and go, wow, that was cool. That was just the way he led his life. Incredible.
But as a kid, was that intimidating? Like, in other words, you never really desired to mow the lawn because you could never live up to the way he did it.
Yeah, no, what? I just grew up. That was just the way it was. My grandfather's the same way. They're going to take the tractor out of the barn and use it. They had to grease every fitting, check the oil, everything first. I just want to turn the key and let's go. Let's get going. And now I find myself that's my life now. So I'm up at that 3:30. The bed gets made perfect before I leave the room. I'm out at 3:53 for the first. So and I realize now, I didn't know before that's where I got that stuff. That came from my father and grandfather.
So what I'm saying is then they must have tried to teach you. I'm guessing that they tried to teach you to do that. And it must have been, it didn't come to you naturally, the meticulous way that they approached taking out the tractor and whatnot.
Yeah. I'm assuming that they had conversations like, we're going to show him how to live his life properly. But it's just the way they were with everything. My grandfather was the same way. He would wash if he was going to wash his car, he'd wash the engine as well.
Oh, God bless. I got to do this. I'm getting a couple of complaints from people that I'm sponsored. Am I sponsored by HP Computers? And it's an innocent thing. My laptop So there's a book by our man, The Book of Awakening by Nepo. Okay, so for those people criticizing my computer ad placement, I'm not.
Oh, is that right? People give you a hard time that you're getting a sponsor from each.
Well, they got to give you a hard time about something, right?
That's true. That's true.
You know, and they just kidding around. It's better than, boy, you were a real fool last night after you had those 10 beers at the bar. Did you remember what you did? And you don't remember, you know, one of those.
Oh, I know. God.
But yes, that's so in other words, so how were they as teachers? In other words, you obviously have taken this trade up now. And,
yep.
but once again, if you think about your NHL career, nobody really outworked you.
Right. Well, that's so there was a game when I was with the Kings. That was what I was famous for. And I didn't realize that at the time. I've looked back in my life now and realized, okay, I was never the smartest guy in the room. I was never the best player on any team I ever played on. I showed up every day and did my job. And I tell kids this now, well, you did this as a coach. You know, the kid that shows up and does his job every game or as close to every game as possible will always keep moving forward, even if he's not the best player, because the coach will always say, and the boss and the business will always say, well, I know what I'm getting from Gabberty. I know what I'm getting from Laidlaw. He'll show up every day. He's not going to be the guy that scored 3 goals a game, but he's going to do his job every game. And that's what it was. My father actually came to me. Well, no, I should back to the story I wanted to tell was I was with the Kings. We were playing a game in Calgary. And I bought my father one of those big satellite dishes back in the day that we had. I tried to buy him one. I bought it and had it delivered. He threw out the delivery guy. He wouldn't because I was paying for it. So we negotiated a settlement. We'd split 50-50. So he's watching the game and play-by-play, I can't remember who it was. Scotty Bowman wasn't coaching at the time, but he was doing the color commentating.
Yep.
So I carry the puck down the ice, trip over the goaltender, go flying into the boards. And the play-by-play guy goes, I don't know who that is, but he's not getting up. And Scotty Bowman goes, no, that's Laidlaw. He's getting up. He always gets up.
That's
so
awesome.
My father was watching that game. If I ever scored a goal, whatever, no big deal. But from that statement from Scotty Bowman, he was so fired up about that. He called me right away. Or actually, he waited. He didn't even want to call me. He waited till I saw him face to face and told me. Awesome. He was so proud of that. So that's all. And that's something when they do that, when the parents do that, that you remember that stuff, right? That no matter how old you are, I mean, you probably then you might have been 30 years old, 31, 2 years old, right? Yeah.
Wow. Cause you played with the Rangers, 7 years?
7 years. So I was probably 29 years old.
But you remember that. You remember that to this day, right? Yeah. And the feeling, the ability to like have him be that happy for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a great
feeling. And it didn't mean as much to me. It still meant something to me, but it means more now looking back at. We had a game against the Islanders early, probably like my 4th or 5th year in the league in the playoffs. And we were beating them in a playoff game, and Bob Nystrom wasn't too happy. I guess I was hammering some people, and he came in, they gave me the forearm shiver, and God, I can't remember who's doing the game, the play-by-play. That's awful. He goes, Tommy's hurt, and that's a hard man to hurt, he said. And I was watching that. I was like, oh, man, I like that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, you know what you got to get if you can. Imagine if you bring like one of those guys on, right? You do a show with somebody like, what was the greatest, if you don't mind me asking, because I'm going to ask anyway.
It was Jim Gordon was a play-by-play guy.
Jim Gordon. Sure. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah. So what do you think was the greatest game you ever played in? Win, loss, whatever. Most exciting, greatest game. Never
individually that I played, or just the greatest game?
No, like the most exciting game you ever played in. Some of those games, like afterwards, you say, "Wow," or whatever. Years later,
I guarantee you, 1984 playoffs, I think it was against the Islanders. It was a best of 5 series, right? Yeah, best of 5. And first round of the playoffs. So they had won their 4 cups already, and they were going to try to win their 5th. We had beat them. We're up 2-1, playing a game in the Garden. They beat us, make it 2-2. Now we're going back for the final game of the series. Whoever wins it moves on. We go into it's a fantastic game, up and down. I watched it recently, and it was when Kenny Morrow scored. We went to overtime. He scored in overtime. And
the Olympian.
Yeah, incredible game. It's just I remember playing in it. It was just the energy about it, like Game 5, the Rangers and Islanders. We had Clark Gillies on before we lost him. He passed away.
Rest in peace.
And he was fantastic. He was a great guy to have on. He said, "Listen, if you guys had won that game, we all talked about the fact that you guys probably would have won the cup. That he thought we were that good." So
you guys were that close. Yeah, Kenny Morrow, Michigan, and the Olympian. He's an Olympian. He won a Stanley Cup and something else, and I'm not going to remember what it was.
So he was. He played at Bowling Green. He's from Michigan.
Yep.
So he won the gold medal, And then went to the Islanders right away, and that's when they won their first cup. So he, within like months, he won a gold medal and a Stanley Cup. Yeah.
Right. So what I'm saying, what I'm suggesting here is your guru of positivity. Wouldn't it be fascinating to incorporate in the show? Get Kenny on the show. All right, you and Kenny. Okay, you talk a little bit about the game. We throw a clip in of whatever, a couple of, we get somebody to edit it because you and I aren't going to do that. We don't know how to. We would if we could. But anyway, you do that, and then how about get to the mental aspect of it? In other words, what was the mental aspect in the room? Was there anxiety? Was there fear? What were you guys determined? Obviously determined, but like what happens when even in business, right? The mindset of being confident to the point of you have no idea that you have the ability at some point that you don't even think about losing. Like you really feel that this is not going to fail. It's not going to fail.
Yeah.
And you are so confident in that. And a lot of times it succeeds, but that one or two times when it doesn't work, and that utter shock that hits you. I can remember, businesses that I said, oh, this is incredible. Growing up, because you launch so many businesses as if you're an entrepreneur and you just start so many businesses and you really believe, you have to believe, and it's not even imposter syndrome. It's more of a mindset. It's a mindset that it's going to work. You know what I mean? You have to have that.
You're actually, yep.
You know what I'm saying? In other words, it's almost to the point where you have to have that mindset where you say, no, I'm not an imposter. This is going to work. I just have to work hard and I have to study and figure it out. I have to figure this out, learn every aspect of it. So I'm an expert before you figure out that I don't know about it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I agree 100%. When I retired from playing, I got into the agent business right away, representing other players. And I look back at that now and I think, God, was I stupid? Because I really didn't know exactly what I use the word stupid, but I was maybe more naive. But I was a good naive. Like I had to be naive. I didn't want to. And I think this is great advice too. Like if you overthink something, yes, you have to study it, like you say, and you have to figure out the details. Okay, can I do this or not? Do I have the financing to do this? All those different details. But if then once you say your heart's in it, and you really want to do this, then don't overanalyze. Like one of the best things I ever heard was go around and ask questions to everybody. And then go do whatever the heck you want to do.
And then do the opposite. Some people say, right? Yeah. I mean,
because that's a great example. So for me, starting the agent business, I didn't even think about failure. I didn't think about failure or success. I had a list that I wrote down. I said, okay, here's the next step that I've got to do. And I never booked because I already had somebody do it for us. I never booked a hotel, a flight, a rental car. So I'm doing everything new. And I'm 33, 34 years old. A young family at home, didn't have a whole bunch of money banked up. I had to make this work. So I think I really look back to my father and grandfather, and they just did it. It had to get done, and they did it. Didn't matter if you didn't know how to do it, you figured it out. That was cool. I look back at that time in my life, and even my wife at the time, my ex-wife now, she was even like, "Wow, I'm ever proud of you. This is unbelievable. Like this is really, the business took off. I really had a plan of how I wanted to conduct myself." And I just, again, it was my own dime. So I'm going up to Western Canada for, 10 days. And I made sure for that 10 days, I was going the whole time. I booked the rooms at Motel 6 and stuff like that because I didn't want to spend any money. And I wasn't spending much time in the hotel anyways. I was moving.
Right.
So it was cool. Yeah, it's a good point by you. I like that a lot.
Well, once in a while I come up with a gem. No. But it's the truth though. I mean, if you really think about it, you have to be like that.
Totally.
And the other, getting back to talking about your folks and whatnot, it's almost as if you didn't really think about it. It's just part of your nature. It's part of your DNA. You know what I'm saying? Because you see that enough every day as a kid growing up on the farm. You see the work ethic of your folks, and you don't have to even you don't have to recall it because it's part of you.
Yeah.
And then when you recall it, yes, great. It's nice. The old now, I feel we're at the age where it's beneficial that we're actually acknowledging this, or even my grandparents talking to me positive as a 5-year-old, let's say.
Right.
I had no idea about the from 0 to 7. Let's say the kids don't have a filter, and whatever you put in there, they're gonna, it's gonna stay. And thank God my grandfather was, always things will be better. This, and all of that kind of stuff. Which now it comes to me and I notice it, but prior to that, it was implanted in me. You know.
So our girl Alicia's got a question here. Why do you think confidence gets perceived as cockiness? Well,
ahead,
okay, I've told this story too when I was going on Survivor and Jeff Probst. We had a meeting in LA and a bunch of other people in the room. Two women from CBS were in the room, so it's an interview. They see your personality and everything. And so at the end of the interview, he turns to the two women. He says, "So what do you think of him?" And one woman goes, "Oh, I like him. He's confident, but he's not cocky." And the other woman, same meeting, goes, "No, he's cocky, totally." So two people perceive me differently in the same meeting. So I guess it's partly who is perceiving the confidence or cockiness too, right? Some people may view it as confidence, others view it as cockiness.
Everybody looks at us in a different way. It's their own story. So it brings in. You might have reminded them of like the guy that they couldn't stand growing up. You know, number one, you're a jock, right? So not everybody loves the jock, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Growing up, I was the guy, the jock. Not everybody likes guys that are in shape, and once you're in shape, you feel it, and you carry yourself a different way. And then if you have a positive mindset, then you carry yourself another different way. Yeah. And it's not for everybody. Yeah, and there's always going to be this, distractors.
And I was pouring it on. Too. I was pouring it on in the meeting too, because it's a meeting to decide. I hadn't been told I was on the show yet. They're deciding whether they're going to have me on the show. So I wanted to go in there and just be the best version of Tom Laidlaw possible. Like I was over the top.
Why not? It was cool. You're a winner. You want to win, right? You're an athlete. You're competitive, right? Yeah. How do we go into a meeting? Hi, how are you? I'm down on my luck.
I know.
I got nothing. I don't know what to tell you. Please help me. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'll sleep in my car if I had to. I was telling Tim that, I mean, what the hell, whatever it takes to keep going, keep moving forward. You know what I mean? I mean, it's real simple. We have this idea, what we're doing now in life, both of us, right? And we just keep moving at it, keep learning. I mean, I'm constantly watching podcasts, on YouTube saying, no, Tom and I could do that.
Isn't that true? Isn't that true though now? Like, and I was not like this 5 years ago. I mean, I was confident in myself 5 years ago.
Right.
But now it's like I'm more educated about how my mind works, how my body works, the exercises I'm doing, the foods I'm eating, and all that kind of stuff. So it's
everything has a reason. Here's another one. Somebody asked me this question recently, as a matter of fact. What do you do for fun? And I had to think about it because I said, you know what? I wake up and the rest of it is fun. I mean, that's the bottom line. Like what, Tom, what do you do for fun?
I got asked that question the other day too. And I had to
did you?
Yeah. I had to stop and think for a second. I go, well, I live my life. It's right.
Exactly. Yeah. And that doesn't mean we're walking around like, la-di-da. I mean, we're doing stuff though. And in the middle of doing it, there are some roadblocks. I mean, not everything goes right. Whether it's you put the key in the ignition, the battery's dead, and then you find out like you blew a whole fuse in the circuit panel or whatever the hell happened to the car. And I asked somebody, what do you think this is going to cost? Well, the motherboard, this board, that. I says, oh, bullshit. I'm going to try to do it. Oh, wait.
So my wife perceives you. I'm assuming he's talking about me.
Oh, that's Dan. Yeah.
Who the hell he is? Know me. I've seen him on the screen. You're a great guy. So that's a good example. So two people watch this, and the wife thinks I'm pretty cocky. It is a fine line though to be confident in yourself. It can very, very easily perceived as cockiness, right? I mean,
no, it can 100%. I mean, I think also there's a portion of our society, maybe not is it Donnie or Danny? I can't see, my eyes aren't spectacular. Yep. So maybe not Danny's wife, but there's a portion of society now that's trying to I don't know, I call it demasculate men. The fact of the matter is that we've done certain things in life. And some of them are bad, some of them are good, whatever. But here we are. We're still, we're still alive. So, we're over 60. We're still alive. Number one, for me, that's an accomplishment. I really wasn't planning on this happening.
I know. Is that true? You think back like you're 30 years old and think to yourself, okay, I'm going to be 64 or something.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. And now I look at myself and I say, holy crap, you know what? I'm my father's age when I had my first kid, or whatever. And I see pictures of him, I mean, back then, guys weren't in the gym, it wasn't really that fashionable. You had Jack LaLanne and you had whoever, so it wasn't as good. But now we know, look, I'm in the gym to stay alive.
Yeah.
And that's it. I want to get to 80, and I want to get to 80 like a friend of mine, Wayne Smith. Okay. Wayne Smith is who's another mentor of mine, who was the executive director of an organization that I was on the board of directors of. And he now is down in Naples. And he is, I want to say 80 something years old. I don't remember exactly, but I call him like for breakfast or lunch or something. He goes, let me check my schedule. And he has the Smith Family Foundation, and he's here working with the FGCU, the college down here. I mean, he's kicking rear end. That's the
Yeah.
guy I want to be when I'm in the 80s. You know,
April's got a couple of things here. Brendan Duffy, our sleep expert, resident. How many people have a show where they have a sleep expert, a breathing expert,
we got everything.
meditation, a hypnotist expert, and then we have so book recommendations for. You know, a great book. There's a great book by former Navy SEAL, David Coggins. You Can't Hurt Me. That's pretty good. He goes into his life quite a bit. He's not so much about advice, but it's pretty motivational.
Oh yeah, listen, the SEALs and all those guys, they're fantastic.
April's back again. April asked a question there before and we missed it. We were talking about something else. But
here we go.
Bring up here. September is Pediatric Care Awareness Month. Thank you very much, April. I did not know that.
April, how much have we raised for Herbie Taylor so far? Because that kid. So, you know, yeah, Herbie Taylor is somebody that April is a neighbor of, and she and I, she turned me on to that poor kid on in August of 2021, and we did, you know, tried to blow up his GoFundMe page. What a good kid. And there, you know what, cancer and pediatric cancer, my God, you know, all cancer is terrible, but little Herbie. Anyway, since she brought up Herbie, Duff, the Inside Your Heaven, you want to see get insight from a medium. April is one of the up and coming young mediums in certainly in the United States. She's about to do a virtual book tour with a publicist that we finally found the right publicist for her, and so she's gonna definitely blow up. Her book is her book is a good read. I mean, her book is a good read. What is this now? Tom recommends Thin Ice. Okay,
so Danny's. Have you heard of this book?
Vaguely, but go ahead.
So Danny's, it's actually, you know what? It is a funny book. It's not the most motivational book, but so Larry Ratso Sloman, they called him. So the team had gone to the finals in 1979. The next year, I didn't know this, but apparently the Rangers themselves said that they wanted him to write a book about everything that the players did. So he came to the players. So I'm going to follow you around all the time, games in the bars, all this stuff.
Yep.
And I'm going to write everything. And apparently he told the guys, but the guys must have just thought, well, yeah.
Well, you guys are knuckleheads, man.
So some of the stuff in the book. Steve Vickers was a funny guy. We had a guy who's coming up and down from the minors, Ray Markham. Ray was a big guy. And Steve Vickers said in the book that Ray Markham was strong enough to lift the tractor, but not smart enough to start
it. Steve Vickers. What they call him, Sarge or something like that?
Sarge,
yeah. Number 8. I don't know. I can't
big guy too. Very funny.
Yeah.
So it was in the book. I mean, so it's an entertaining book to read.
Yeah, Thin Ice. That's like the ball 4, Jim Bounton ball 4 for baseball. He did that, and Thin Ice. Well, that's funny.
There's a picture of me. I just came in at the end of that year. And so there's a picture of me with my cowboy hat on. When I first got to New York, I was wearing a cowboy hat and cowboy boots all the time. So.
You're kidding me, right?
No.
That was your persona. In other words. So you were a cowboy.
Totally. Yeah, and I remember thinking I was the coolest guy on the planet too.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, sure you did. Yeah. And no one perceived you as being cocky back then, I bet.
Oh no. Oh,
yeah,
I didn't realize that. I had other people that I saw years later, and we get talking about stuff, and they said they'd see me sitting in a bar someplace with the cowboy hat on. They wouldn't go anywhere near me. They just thought.
Yeah. You're a little menacing. That's why those dogs are barking. They're scared. They're scared.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
I told you I snapped at the dogs last week, right?
You told me what happened. Anything new?
It's gotten quiet. It's a little bit more quiet around here.
I think that if you go to wellnessconnects.com, there are some dog whisperers on that site. I'll send you a couple because it's another thing. I'm gonna send you. I know we can get one. You want one? We'll get one. But they want you to try what they're doing first. That's the problem. Then they'll all come on the show, but they have to work with you.
All right.
Unless you want to get hypnotized on the next episode of this.
So let me get this.
Right on stage.
Get hypnotized. I've got to get hypnotized. I've got to talk to heaven through April.
Yep.
That's a good. I've got to do what the dog whisper thing.
The dog whisper. You got to do Dory's breath work.
She's got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, no, and you got the sleep guy and Duff.
Right. She's got lots of stuff to do. And by the way, my father. Do you know what a water diviner is? A water witch.
That's the guy who finds the water. Yes, I do. And
my father was a water witch.
Let me tell you something. And I'll bring it for next time. I actually have one of those things that you.
Well, he just did it with a
twig.
Stick.
Yeah, the sticks. Yeah.
People come from all around to get him to do it, and I was like, I thought to myself, how did he know he was a water witch?
Yeah, right. Exactly. It comes to him. Yeah, it just came. Who the hell knows? He's got a calling. April, when she was April's story is to me is interesting. When she was, I want to say 5 years old,
Maybe
Well,
this
she
is
used
a
to
better
hear
idea.
noises.
We'll hypnotize Pepper.
Hypnotized
Right.
Pepper.
Right.
You know that he's sharp as a tack. This guy.
Danny's pretty good. He gets going, yeah.
Danny's something else. I don't know where, but April used to have like spirits come to her, and like when she was a kid, she moved into a house, and the guy who used to live in the house, who was dead, like kind of came to her. You got to read her book, or we got to get her on and let her tell some of these stories, because it's
so we got to
nuts.
get Dory. So I've got to do all those things. I've got to get Dory on a show. I've got to get April on a show.
Listen, why don't we do this? Why don't we get everybody on the show on one like
big
we give them 10 minutes each. 10 minutes each. Boom. You could do this all in one. See, instead of procrastinating, and this leads to like December, we could do this all in one show.
Yeah,
Line everybody up.
Between the two of us, to have one person on for 10 minutes, we talk so much, they'll only have 1 minute. We'll be talking for
But that's
9
enough, though. It's all about us anyway. It always comes back to us. What are you kidding me? Come on,
Good
it's
point.
serious.
Right.
They're just good looking people. And hi, how are you? What's going on?
Definitely.
Right.
That is pretty interesting, though, how like somebody that has that kind of a power like April does, or my father being the water witch. Like, how do you? I guess in April's case, it just came to her, right?
Yeah.
I never thought to ask my father. Maybe I'll get April to ask my father. He's passed.
Listen, you know you laugh, but she could probably do that.
I'm really not laughing. I believe that stuff now.
I do too.
Yeah, I wouldn't have believed it 5 years ago, but I've told the story many times. The guy that was paralyzed, and you've told me his name many times now.
Okay, now listen, and you'll never forget it. Okay, this is something I learned also at Yale University when I went there for the Science of Well-Being. Okay,
Yeah.
Joe's easy, right?
Yes, got it.
And Joe is the Dispenza. He's the spender, but you call it Dispenza. Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza. Go ahead. What about him?
I like it. I think the story's fascinating. And it's just, for me, it's one of those things how far I think I've come, where if somebody said that to me 5 years ago, I go, yeah, right. But I really do believe the power of the mind now that you
Okay. So how hard would it be for you to really spend 60 minutes, cram 60 minutes into your time, okay, on Gaia TV? How do you spell it? GAIA, right? Get a subscription. Yeah, here we go. Gaia, he doesn't do anything in 10 minutes, and don't get any ideas. Anyway, GAIA.com. And he's got a channel, he's got a show, and he talks about all of this stuff, rewiring your brain.
Right.
You know, this guy was paralyzed. He got hit by a semi truck, and he's a doctor. He's a chiropractor. Okay. And he had the idea when they told him, you never walk again. He had an idea. He had an idea that he was going to do it. He was going to walk again, but he just did it with his mind. You can't make this up.
No, I believe it totally. Yeah.
You know, so that's that one. Then the one about April. I mean, April, the interesting thing about her is when I first started working with her over a year ago, and we would talk. And by the way, with her, I said, you know, go to my calendar and just book a time and I'll set it aside. No, she can't do that. So she would call me up at like, I don't know, whatever time, 9 a.m. and go, hey, you got some time now? I'm like, oh.
Who is this, April?
Yeah, April's. Yeah, she's got no boundaries. Obviously, she talks to heaven. All right. So I said, listen, all she kept saying is, I want to read you. I want to read you. I want to read you. I said, look, right now in my life, I have everything in order mentally about what's going on up there. But if you want me to help you with your book, I will. So she said, oh, okay. So we just kept it on the book, the book, right? Then one day, like the third or fourth time we met, right, the fourth week, she goes, there's somebody standing next to me that has to talk to you. And I said, where? Well, he's up there, you know, wherever, however she said, I can't remember. Anyway, I said, okay. And then she told me who it was, because I was thinking my father, my grandfather, my mother, who, God rest her soul, she never, you know, she always was talking to me. Anyway, it wasn't. It was a friend of mine who disappeared. He was killed, disappeared. They never found him. And yeah, it was him. Yeah. And she was spot on about everything. And I was just like, well, I believe now. I said to myself, I said, well, I believe this now. This is no bullshit. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, she's good.
It's got me thinking too. I can't remember this woman's name. She's going to kill me. This female trainer in my gym probably 6-7 years ago. And this shows that where I was back then, where I am now. She started telling me how she could read minds and everything. And she had a guy that was a friend of hers that lived in Chicago that would just randomly talk to her through her mind. Like, there's no physical contact. That's just thought. Really? And I remember looking at this woman like,
Yeah, let me get away from you, huh? Can you read my mind now, lady?
But now, yeah, well, and now I'm thinking to myself, yeah. So
Who
like
knows?
she's going, but going around all the time, knowing what people's thoughts are. It's got to be a little strange. It's got to be a little hard, right? Because you're
Yeah, it can't be easy.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to know. You know what I'm saying?
exactly, yeah,
But yeah, there's something for everybody. That's why, and that's why the thing that Dory's working on called wellnessconnects.com, right?
Yeah.
Which isn't 100% up and running yet, but it will be. That's where they're going to get all these people and vet them and try to see what kind of a certification they have, and do they have liability insurance and all those things, just to more or less protect the person who's the practitioner, but also the person who is the patron of this industry, because this is becoming one of the fastest growing industries in the United States, if not the world.
unfortunately, it is, yeah.
You know what I mean? The wellness industry and the holistic wellness industry. And if you think about it, it's because healthcare is so expensive that a lot of people don't have healthcare.
Yeah.
Or there are people that are waking up to the fact that the answer to everything is to medicate you.
Yeah. Oh,
And I don't know. And I'm not saying don't take medication, but I'm saying that maybe before, in other words, why not prevent it 5 years before you might need it?
right,
And
totally.
there's a whole bunch of ways. The same way I am trying, to combat cancer, let's say, by freezing the lemon, and turning around my day, starting my day the right way, alkalizing my pH. And if you Google it, and anytime you Google any of this stuff, you Google it and you see a bunch of articles. Oh, that's a lot of crap. It doesn't work. Well, it really doesn't do that. And then you read a lot of articles that yes, it does work. And why and everything.
Well, there's so many things we can do for ourselves. The intermittent fasting, like you said, the foods we eat, the exercise, training your mind, all that kind of stuff. I agree with you totally. You're right. And we got to be careful. If somebody needs medication, you make that decision for yourself. But I agree. I'd rather try the natural way first to see if we can get some relief.
I mean, me too.
CBD oils, and people are getting a lot of relief with that kind of stuff.
God bless them. I mean, as long as they don't, as long as it's something that's legal. I mean, that's another thing. It's legal. And then again, if it's illegal, it may become legal. But that's, I can't like take a chance on that stuff. But because the funny stuff is that back in the 80s, ketamine. Okay, there was something called ketamine, Special K.
Yeah.
All right, and and this all came unfortunately, every illegal drug I had to deal with in the music business. I had to know what the artists were on and how to counteract it and all of that. And I didn't have Narcan back then. So long story short, ketamine back then, like they stopped Woody Allen when it first came to prominence, was they stopped Woody Allen in LAX airport with like 2 grams of this stuff. Right. And they stopped him. They detained him. They thought it was cocaine or heroin. It wasn't. It was ketamine, which is animal tranquilizer that they give to animals when they operate on them. Long story short, now they're treating suicide, PTSD, depression with ketamine.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So even the psilocybin, whatever you call them, I remember.
I was just going to ask you about that. Did we have that discussion about?
No.
I had a buddy of mine, a former Navy SEAL, that was having a hard time with addiction, alcohol addiction.
Yep.
And so he went and did the psilocybins.
Yep.
And the next day he did the toad poison.
Oh yeah, and, sure.
And you got famously Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson, all those people have done it. And I guess it gets you to like this state where you're just this buddy of mine, when he did the psilocybins, he had like about 10 people in the room with him because they give him a high dose of the psilocybins, and they need to make sure that he's safe because he's just going to go. And that's like he said, he was rolling down a hill and everything.
Yep.
And I talked to him. He's a totally different person.
Oh, God bless him.
He said he hopes he never has to do it again. It is so intense. Just like your mind is, he couldn't really describe it. He said, but it worked for him too. So again, I'm not condoning that kind of stuff because I don't think it's legal here in the U.S. He went to Mexico, I think, to get it done.
Well, I think a lot of this, I don't know what he took, but I know that there is stuff here. I mean, they are legitimately, and these are I'm talking professionals, whether it's psychologists, psychiatrists, whatever, that are using ketamine and psilocybin. And the other thing, though, I know, and I don't know what is in it, is that for PTSD, they're actually taking a needle and injecting it in the neck of people, and that is supposed to help them tremendously. The same way ECT, I've known a couple of people that had a suicidal ideology, okay, and they did ECT treatment, electrocraniotherapy treatment, okay. But it's a lot different than what it was back in the day, like
Yeah.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or whatever.
I was down in Virginia Beach, and there's a former Navy SEAL's got a training clinic there where he helps veterans recover for get ready to go into battles and stuff. And they do electric shock treatment too. He was telling us about it. I was kind of like, what? They still do that? But it's so totally different.
Oh, it's so much. I mean, I saw it administered once, and it's so much different than the way it was. Everything, obviously, medicine has involved, and also the mind. You know, it's funny because we take care of our bodies, right? It's real easy to see how you look and make a change by going to the gym or doing whatever it is, but you really can't see your mind.
Yeah, totally.
Right. So you know what I'm saying? But it's as important working out and doing stuff that's mindful and helpful to your mind is just as important.
Yeah. There's a young girl I had on the show a few times, Jillian Brown. Fantastic. She'd gone through a abusive relationship and was diagnosed with PTSD. And a friend of hers in Vancouver, someplace, up British Columbia, started a camp. Their theory on PTSD is that you kind of stop moving. So that the theory is to keep moving, and that's how they treat the PTSD. They've had success with it too. So it's just another option.
Yeah. Well, whatever works. I mean, without a doubt.
Yeah. Hold on. Where do you ask your question here? Danny's got a good question. Do you regret that alcohol was such an important part of your life back in the day as opposed to ingesting? Said, well, obviously, yes. But I think the thing is, this is not an excuse for it at all. That was just part of the culture. I know it sounds strange when I'm going to say this to you, but that's who I was as part of the team aspect. Like players would come to the team and everybody would say to them, listen, well, if you want to go for a beer or whatever, go talk to Tom. He knows where to go. You know, and I was with the LA Kings after the game. The owner of the team, Bruce McNall, would hand me like $1,500 in cash. Say, Tommy, take all the boys out for a few beers. Again, it was part of the culture back then. So it was like, I was a team guy, and that was one of the ultimate team things back then. It doesn't mean it's right at all. And it's certainly not the way I live now and not the way the players live now either. But that was...
okay. So I'm not disagreeing with anything you just said.
Yeah.
But, and we have 15 minutes left, and that was a great question. Thank you so much. All right. Here's the deal. Let's put aside the regret. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, when you do things without, if we both drank 10 beers last night, could we do this show the same way we're doing it today?
If we did it right now, no, I wouldn't.
Even back then. I mean, even back then, first off, we would blow the show off.
Well,
we wouldn't come.
I never missed anything.
Okay, so then we would come. So we would come 10 beers with 3 hours in between. So we'd have a pot of coffee, this and that. Yeah. Believe me, we're talking about stuff that we just can't like fake through. You know what I'm saying? We have to give intelligent answers. And if we were hungover, wouldn't be the same. It really wouldn't. I'll speak for myself. You know what I'm saying? And believe me, I toured the world with a major rock band. Okay. And I will tell you that 99% of the time, unfortunately, I wasn't as hungover as them. And that's why I was the one taking them. Plus I couldn't sing, but I was in charge of the damn thing. And it would have been, you know what? I was able to go back and do it again, and the motivation was because I wanted to do it with a clear head. And it was so much easier. It really was, you know what I'm saying? And I took them in 1 week. I took them to the Letterman show. I took the guitar player 4 nights in a row to the Letterman show. The 4th night, the band went and played on the Letterman show. That's a little tense, right? Then we did Saturday Night Live the following week. Okay. So that Saturday Night Live, you go Monday to Saturday because you actually they start doing the show on Mondays and they work it. And then Saturday you do 2 shows. You do one show at 7 p.m. and then you do it live. And they do the show at 7 p.m. because in case something happens on the live show, they could use the show that they already recorded. So we did that, and then we did the Grammys at Radio City Music Hall, all in one period. And my point is that I did it sober. And I got to tell you, Tom, I was older, and it was a fantastic experience. So my question to you is, forget the culture for a second. What would happen if you went back? What if you played now? Now, forget about the skating or this or that, but you know, I'm saying the difference. But if you had played with that mindset, how could you play with the mindset you have? That's really
mindset I have now.
Yep.
Oh, I'd be way better player. I was on the All-Star ballot my 5th year in the league, I think it was. And I remember thinking to myself, and I had this conversation with James Patrick too. And he said he went through periods of his career like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was the weirdest thing. Like it was weird because I was confident in myself as a player, very confident.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't view myself as being in that category of player to be on the All-Star ballot and potentially playing in the All-Star game. And it weirded me out. It was like, it really did. Like it affected my game. I just think, listen, if I trained the way I do now, like, so when I retired from playing, I have bulging disc in my back, 3 or 4 bulging discs, and lots of people have that. And most people just from walking around have that. But that's really one of the reasons I had to retire, because, and it's so funny, I wouldn't change my training regimen. So it was, Rick Wilson was one of our coaches, great guy, defenseman that played in the National Hockey League. He had to retire because of a back issue as well. And I remember him walking around, skating around with me before practice and saying, Tom, I know what you're thinking. This is what I've done all my life. I'm not changing anything. Like I wouldn't get on the training table. I ruptured my spleen. They went to get me the gurney or the whatever it is, and they said, "Okay, we're going to wheel you out of here." And I said, "I'm walking out." You know, it's like, and I felt, yeah, I'm not getting there. I'm not thinking, I'm laying down. Yeah, and I think about now, I'm an idiot, but it was just so yeah. Like now, I learn more now. It isn't just the way I acted. So I learned it. So if I have a problem now. So I've really worked my core. So my back is no problem. My back has never felt better because I've learned to work my core now.
Yep.
Those days I wouldn't listen to anything. I said I have my process. I get up in the morning, I drink my beers. I don't get on the table. I drive my pickup truck. This is the way I work. That's it. Now I've learned. I always want to get better. I always want to learn new things. Right. So what I am today isn't what I'm going to be tomorrow or the next day. So it'll always get better. So,
and that's Kaizen. That's the art of continual learning. I mean, and that's also what keeps you young.
Oh, totally.
I mean, it really does. That's what I tell, like, seniors, which we're not there yet, but they tell seniors to do crossword puzzles and all of that. Like when I hit that, I'm going to be putting businesses together. We'll be doing podcasts. We'll be looking at how to put this across the country or something like that, worldwide.
You know what I've learned too, like you mentioned it the other day. What is it, like resetting your clock? Like
yes.
So now like the sun is coming up later, so but I can get there before the sun comes up. So I was on the beach today. I swear to God, there's other people around. I was so fired up just from out there standing in front of the sun. Like I wanted to just scream. Like I was just like, oh my Jesus, this is unbelievable. Like,
don't scare anybody, but you can go. You could scream without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and that's I think the guy's real name is Dr. Braverman. I think I got it right this time. I haven't really Joe Dispenza, because it took me a long time to even get Joe Dispenza's name, and then it came to me, Joe Dispenza, the spender. You know, because being Italian from the Bronx, there were a lot of spenders around. Guys always flash cash and buying everybody drinks. Meanwhile, they couldn't pay their mortgage. But so that's interesting. Yeah. I think that regrets, no, because it's part of the story, but drugs and alcohol, definitely, for anybody listening, especially kids that I coach, they all notice. I drummed it into their head that it's a waste of time. Yeah. There's nothing that's going to be gained by it. It's bullshit. Don't do it if you can't. That being said, I don't expect them to listen to me 100%. And if there's a problem, reach out to us and we'll point you in the right direction. We're not drug and alcohol counselors and we're not therapists, but we certainly know enough of both that we can help people with that.
We've done
Don't be afraid. Yeah. And so if you don't want to like pronounce it to anybody who you live with or whatever, you know us, reach out. We'll send you right away in the right direction. And we're here to help, because
but you raise a good point there too. Like I don't have any regrets, even though I may have done something that I knew was wrong, or later on found out it was the wrong thing to do. Yeah, I don't regret it, because I feel like I just lived my life all out, and you know full well that you're going to make mistakes. And I think that's great advice for other people too. That if you make a mistake, you're going to make mistakes.
Yes,
the world is unfair. Bad things are going to happen. You know that coming in. There's no question about it. But just because you make a mistake doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you made a mistake in that situation. Like don't beat yourself up over it, saying you're terrible. Fix it. Just recover.
You have to forgive yourself, right? Yeah. You got to forgive yourself. You have to be self-aware. So you got to forgive yourself, right? And then you got to take the steps to make amends, whether it's and whatever that means. Make amends. And I think if you come with that attitude, I think that the people you're running into, are going to see that, hopefully, if they know you well enough, or if they don't take the amends, well, you know what, the amends really are for the person giving it to somebody. Totally. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, that's real important. So regrets, no, that they're lessons. It's the same thing like losing. Okay. I lost in overtime in the finals of some college thing at the Prudential Center. And that was one of those games where I really thought we were going to win again. We had won the year before. I thought, I'm saying to myself, back-to-back champions, blah blah blah. Aren't we? We're hot shit here, and we lose in overtime, and that's the worst, yeah. But now I have no regrets. I learned a lot from it. I really did, and I think the kids who played in that game, they remembered and they learned a lot.
Yeah, some of my biggest mistakes are some of my biggest turning points in my life. Like I remember I told a story too, trying out for the Canadian Olympic team, and decided to go out the first night at training camp and have a few adult beverages, and then rearrange the furniture, put it on top of the trainer's car.
Oh yeah, brilliant idea. Good.
Yeah.
Bravo.
And then I went and woke the trainer up at 3 a.m. to tell him. Like it was really, and I actually remember when I did it, thinking, man, this is funny. This is going to be a great bonding moment for the team. Everybody together. Like I really had rationalized it that it was a good thing. And then the next morning, Father Bauer, who ran Hockey Canada, walked out and handed me a plane ticket, sent me home.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
So now I was cocky then. I was telling everybody I really thought I was going to make the Olympic team. So not only did I not make it, now I have to go back to everybody. It was my senior year of college and go back and tell everybody, I didn't make it because here's what I did. And you know what it did though? Like I was so mad at myself, so thinking that I'd hurt my chances of playing in the NHL because of my stupidity that I would just work unbelievable. I did things I never thought I could do. I became more of a leader, a better leader. I was able to speak more because I was forcing myself. I said, listen, I've got to make up for this mistake I made. And it really just made me a better player. And I look back at that and I'm not happy that I did what I did, but I was really happy about how I responded to it once it was over with.
Listen, and now, X amount of years later, you are who you are, and you played 11 years in the NHL. And maybe, do you have a regret that you didn't have more empathy on Survivor? I stay up at night and worry about that. Like, well, what was that about?
Empathy. Oh God, empathy.
You were like, you had a bullseye, buddy. You had a bullseye on your back. You must have. Like, no offense, I didn't really watch I don't watch that show too much, but wow. I didn't
realize how much of a bullseye I did have when the show was going on. Obviously, you don't hear all the conversations that are going on behind your back. So I didn't realize it was like that. I knew that, watching the game, the show, that things like that are happening. But yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, geez, God bless.
That was a blast. I'll tell you, that was another one of those things to say, like, and you'd live the same way. But if you want to do something in your life, don't sit around and say, well, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it when I get a divorce, or I'll do it whatever the excuse is. Go get it done. Like there's no advantage really for me being on Survivor. It's just something that was the coolest thing in the world. I remember they dropped us off on the beach in Fiji. A boat pulls in and now you're there. You're pots and pans and a bag of rice, and you got to figure it out from there. And I'm going, oh man, this is unbelievable. It was good.
Yeah, right. I know. Were you trying to figure out who you were going to take out or something like that?
Right away.
Everybody up. Were you sizing people up? Sure.
Absolutely. Yep. So right off the bat, there's these two guys. I ended up being buddies with them, Ronnie and Aaron. And they kind of banded together, and they weren't letting anybody else do anything. They were trying to take control of everything. And they wanted to get off this Elaine, her and I kind of formed an alliance. So I thought this is a great opportunity for me to show Elaine that I'll fight for her. And then she could be my conduit to all the other girls on the show. So we set it up. We told Ronnie and Aaron that we were going to vote this other guy off. And then we told everybody else, vote Ronnie off. And because the show just got going, they're looking at me as kind of like this fatherly figure and everything like that. So they're going to listen to whatever we say. Yeah. So we voted him off. And he ended up being roommates with me when we went off to Australia after the show.
That's
hilarious. He came home one night. I thought I had told him that I was the one that put the blind side together. And he came home one night from hanging out with all the other players. He walks in, he goes, "You got me voted off." I said, "Yes, I did."
But I mean, fatherly figure, yes, but you're also a menacing SOB. So I mean, how did that work out for you?
Because I was trying to be careful not to be too out there.
Menacing. Menacing. Good.
So there's a couple of times we had this one guy, a good friend of mine now, is Dean Kowalski, great guy. He ended up finishing like second on the show. So there'd been the tribe swap. So we had formed an alliance with other people. They now were all of another tribe, and these new 5 people came in, and there's only 3 of us. So it ends up they're going to pick us off. And so we woke up in the morning and said, okay, we got to make sure we win this challenge so we don't get voted off. So we set it up. It ended up, we were lucky. It ended up being Dean was a college basketball player. So it ended up, the challenge was, there was a basketball shooting thing at the end of the challenge. So I'm thinking, okay, we'll set this up so that Dean's going to do the shooting. So we got what we wanted. We pushed the other people aside so they were having to shoot. And Dean doesn't get it done. We lose the challenge. So we then—
He misses the shot?
He doesn't hit the shots. Yeah, he hit 2 of them. I had to hit 3 of them. So
Wow.
I ended up getting voted off after that challenge. And then we go to this, we have this party before we all leave, and all the producers are there and everything. So they hear all our conversations. And Dean and I had this conversation. So I'm banking on the fact that he's this college basketball player. I'm thinking we got this thing nailed. So then at the end, we have this party, and the producers had gone, they knew what I was saying. So they'd gone and done their homework to see how many points Dean scored in college. In his whole college career, he only scored 5 points.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. 4 years, 5 points.
Yeah, the producer told me, he was just dying laughing because he asked me, he says, do you know how many points Dean scored? As soon as he asked me, I thought to myself, it's not going to be good.
Right.
And
right.
It was pretty funny. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. That's good stuff.
Good deal. So what do you got planned for the weekend there, Big Man? Are you a big, like, take weekends off, or you like to work right through the weekend Sunday, don't you?
But what am I going to do to work? I'm going to go see the sunset, the sunrise. I have to go see, I got to go see a place for one of my buddies. I am in communication with a couple of guys that are either trying to get on tour. I got another buddy who's going on tour with Ringo. He's the tour manager, stuff like that. But it's all fun. It's all fun. So am I going to, oh, there you go, Dr. Jack. Dr. Jack, Arnold's chiropractor. He's
his chiropractor?
Yeah, he was. He's everything with Arnold. Arnold and the president, the Bush gave him the certificate of. Yeah, the whole bit. Presidential seal. Oh, he has the presidential seal of approval. No, he's a great guy. Thanks, Jack. Anyway, so what am I going to do? Not really. Nothing out of the ordinary, really. Same thing. It is what it is. I'm going to talk to you. Listen to me. I'm going to talk to you. We have a meeting. Okay. One of the days you haven't confirmed yet. I sent you a Zoom invitation, and we're going to go over fixing up our True Grit Life YouTube channel. Perfect. And all good things like that, my friend. What are you doing, by the way?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I got 2 events, Ranger events I got to do. So the first one is tomorrow.
Yep.
At 9 o'clock, we're at the Yonkers School District Training. That's located at Saunders Trades and Technical High School, 183 Palmer Road in Yonkers. And then on Saturday, we're at the Superior Ice Rink. Superior Ice Rink, 270 Indian Head Road in Kings Park, New York. 12 to 3.
It's a nice rink. And when you're in Yonkers, the mayor is Mayor Spano.
Yes.
He's a very dear friend because I coached his son, Michael, who's a goaltender.
Oh.
He was a goaltender, and it was hilarious. They would come, he and his wife is formerly Mary Calvi, now Mary Spano. She's a newscaster, and she most recently was
I know her. She is, sure,
yeah, she's a sweet person. They are spectacular people. So when you see them, just tell them, Coach, Coach says hello, Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Newscaster. Because you would relate to this. Of course, you're a hockey guy. I come in the lobby. I would walk in the lobby, and he would be there, and I would say, Mr. Mayor. He goes, Coach. I said, good to see you. And I would, we'd keep walking. But and I talked to him. He's a great guy.
Actually, he's friends with Ron Greshner as well.
Is he really?
Yeah. I think Ron's done some business in the city. I didn't realize Yonkers is the 3rd largest city in New York State. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a robust city under his watch too. Well, they've had a couple of good mayors and whatnot. But yeah, it's rebuilding. But it's killing it now. They're doing fantastic. They really are. But he is the mayor is a great guy. Great guy. So have fun with that.
What if I say hello from Coach and he doesn't know who you are? What happens then?
Well, then you know what? It's just another hit to my ego, but that's okay. He should.
Your ego's fine.
No, I'm not easing God out any more than I have. Okay, he's back in my life. So it sounds like Sunday then, Sunday morning after you.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we're gonna talk. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we have to talk.
Or we can do Saturday morning because the thing I'm doing is until 12 o'clock. So
you're going to be so. You're going to be so. First off, 11 o'clock at Superior. That's a ride.
Yeah.
It's LIE. You should have rethought this. Okay. LIE during Labor Day weekend.
Was it Labor Day weekend this weekend? Oh my God.
I think it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's Labor Day weekend. Kabish, as we say in the time, tu kapi.
I've got the no air conditioning thing going on. I had an event I went to, probably about a month ago. It was in the middle of the heat wave too.
Yep.
And so I was fine. I'm driving with the windows open, so it's no big deal. But then I had to get on the phone. So I had to close the windows. And man, I was sweating. I said, I'm not giving in. That was one of the few times where I was thinking about giving in, but I didn't do it.
Infrared sauna, though. When you're in there, it's a sauna.
Oh, it definitely was.
That's what
you know what? I've been helping a few young people with just life in general.
Yep.
One of the biggest things, like me giving up the air conditioning, like I really feel like, honest to God, it's made me stronger mentally. And I've had a few guys that I'm helping, and I've asked them, I say, okay, just for a month, take something out of your life. It doesn't have to be something as serious as air conditioning. Just take something out of your life. There's one young guy, he's really worked hard on himself. And right off the bat, he says, I'm going to give up hot water. So he takes all the cold showers for a month.
Well, listen, there's a lot to be said, and it's Wim Hof. Wim Hof. I hope I said it right this time. Or I always screw it up. But that's the Iceman. That's the guy who swims in the water. You got it. That's another guy.
No, it's we're not giving it. We refuse to give it. No.
He expects to meet somebody up north in October. He's hopeful that in October he'll have a friend come over and he can sit outside then, because then he goes outside and challenges himself to the cold weather, and she'll be inside.
At nights outside, I put the fan outside there and sit outside the back deck. I got a little smart TV and watch some YouTube videos and stuff.
Glorious. All right, go to the Coach Rich G channel or critique our shows.
No, I've got to keep doing that. I keep putting that off at the G channel.
Yeah.
All right, good to see you again. Hopefully,
great to see you, brother. And listen, if anybody's left, we haven't bored anybody. Subscribe to this damn show, please. All right, and leave comments, and hopefully Tom can read them as fast as possible.
And again, just to remind everybody, if there's any suicidal thoughts or anything, the new hotline number is 988. Again, that's 988. And again, reach out to people. If you see somebody sitting around, if your friends, whatever, seem down, ask them how they are. If you fear that they look like they might want to hurt themselves, don't be afraid to ask them, and make sure they get some help. So.
All right, brother.
Good to see you again. We'll see you next Thursday.